Hey everybody, I'm Michael Strahan, and St. Jude has been close to my heart for many years. Their groundbreaking research is changing how the world treats childhood cancer, and has helped push the survival rate in the U.S. from 20% to more than 80%. Please help St. Jude give children the greatest gift, a chance at a lifetime.
This holiday, help St. Jude find more cures for more children. Donate now at musicgives.org.
Good afternoon. Getting right down to business here. We're doing it live, doing more at 4 weekday afternoons right after Guy Benson and just before the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang at 5. Mottek On Money. We're live on the air of 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com. And, of course, the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast, kbc.com, Apple iTunes, YouTube, all of your favorite podcast platforms. Stocks rebounding today on this second trading day of December, a day after the Grinch showed up on Wall Street yesterday. Today, Santa popped up his head and stocks ended mostly higher. Cryptos took a wild ride. Precious metals moved higher. The Dow coming in for a closing gain of 185 points. S&P 500 of 17. The NASDAQ gained 138 points. The yield in the 10-year note now to 4.09%. Stocks moving higher a day after the risk-off day we saw yesterday, which snapped a 5-session winning streak. We saw Bitcoin get as low as around 84,000 today. Right now, it's back close to 92,000. And shares of crypto-related names like Coinbase and Robinhood also moved higher after getting hit yesterday. Gold and silver moved higher. We'll get the latest on precious metals. Later this hour, I'll talk to Barry STUPPLER, the founder of STUPPLER & Company and Mint State Gold in Woodland Hills, also former president of the American Numismatic Association, rare coin expert, joining us live later this hour. Coming off the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and the start of the holiday season, we've had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and today's Giving Tuesday, a day encouraging and celebrating generosity during this season of giving, a very important day for nonprofit groups relying on your generosity. Among them, the Union Rescue Mission, the #1 organization helping the homeless here in Southern California with the highest possible rating from Charity Navigator. URM is saving and transforming lives, and URM is aiming to raise $72,000 to represent the 72,000 approximately homeless men, women, children, and seniors on the streets of Los Angeles. Coming up later this hour, I'll be speaking live to the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission, Mark Hood. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy, and the whole works now. Joining us live, the top tech analyst on the major financial networks, Daniel Ives, Managing Director and Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities, headquartered right here in Southern California. Dan Ives, also Chairman of 8Co Holdings, focused on driving the crypto WorldCoin as the single sign-on future in an AI world. Daniel Ives, thank you very much for joining us live this afternoon.
Yeah, great to be on as always, Frank.
Thank you very much. Another busy day for you and what's been a wild week here to kick off the month of December. A nice rebound today. Give us your view of things here at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, you obviously had a good rebound in Bitcoin as well. Look, I think what's starting to happen is like the fears of like AI bubble and, you know, some of those things are really have almost plagued tech stocks the last few weeks into really the last month. That's starting to subside because the numbers coming out fundamentally, especially in tech, are looking strong. And I think that's just showing acceleration into next year, especially with the Fed set to cut next week.
That is big news, and that's the expectation now after a lot of bets were placed against that idea. That has been bouncing around too. But so you think we will get a cut next week, and then a lot of attention now on who the next Fed chair will be. One of President Trump's top people who is very crypto-friendly, right? Tell us what's happening on the Fed front, which has been fueling the rally recently.
Look, and we remember like that day when all the fears came out about a cut not happening. We told you better chance of me playing in the NBA than a cut not happening. And you've seen that based on Fed talk. And now, look, Hassett is going to be next Fed chair, no matter when that gets announced. That's dovish. And that basically means you're going to have 100 bips of cuts next 6 months with $8 trillion on the sidelines. I'll bet risk assets any day of the week.
On the live with Daniel Ives at Wedbush and Apple at an all-time high. What do you see ahead for that one?
Look, that's another. I mean, look, the AI piece hasn't even started with Apple, but it comes down to you look at this iPhone cycle. It's been a surprise upgrade cycle that I think surprised a lot of the bears. Numbers are coming up. And the reality is when it comes to big cap tech, New York City cab driver was bearish in Apple last 6 months. And now you're heading into what's going to really be, I think, a Google AI announcement. They just essentially parted ways with their head of AI, bringing on new blood. And I think Google Gemini is going to be the key to what's going to be the new, called the new Siri going into the spring.
All right, what about the Magnificent One NVIDIA bouncing around higher today, back up to around 181 and change? What do you see ahead there?
There's one godfather of AI. It's Jensen and NVIDIA, right? I mean, this is one where investors will try to poke holes from every side. Demand and supply is 12-1. That continues to be the name you want to own in the AI revolution trade, as well as AMD and others. That it's just starting. We talked about it. AI party was 9 p.m. It's only 10:30 p.m. Party goes to 4 a.m. Again, I'm not saying glass on the dance floor, cops may break up the party for a little. Party's going on until 4. You don't want to be a bear looking at the party through the windows from the outside.
Absolutely. Audience, gets your number 2 pencils out. Daniel Lives, I don't know if you have it in front of you or you probably know it off the top of your head. I know you released your very closely followed 10 stocks to own list heading into the new year. Can you give us some of the highlights there?
Well, Mottek's the first. Oh, sorry. Okay. So first, Microsoft, Palantir, Tesla, Apple, CrowdStrike, Oklo is another core name. Google, IREN, which I view as a core infrastructure play, power play here, and then also MongoDB. And then Mottek, M-O-T-K. It's a Frank Mottek. That's 11.
Thank you for that. And terrific. And some of those names were part of the earnings parade, right? Anything that stood out to you today? I see CrowdStrike shares got a pop today, and Okta, right, up $1 and change to 86 or so. Anything that caught your attention in the latest earnings parade?
Look, and MongoDB up 20% last night. Right? I mean, look, Frank, it comes down to the second, third, and fourth derivatives are playing out across AI revolution. It's just a start. Fourth industrial revolution, robotics, autonomous, where everything's going. That's why we think tech stocks are up another 20% next year. I'm not saying you're not going to have white knuckle moments, but to me, for the first time in 30 years, U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech. That is a bullish market, 2 more years in this tech bull market.
Certainly a reminder that crypto's a volatile space, and look what happened to MicroStrategy or strategy stock. Rebound today up nearly 10 back to 181. But what about something like that? And what are your thoughts on strategy?
Yeah, I mean, look, known seller for decades, big MicroStrategy fan in terms of what they're doing on Bitcoin. Look, we talk about digestion period. You had basically deleveraging going on. But again, it's not the end of, it's not a crypto winner. It's a consolidation. And like we've said, over 100,000 by year end, 150 to 175 continues to be a view of Bitcoin, also bullish on Ethereum.
What are your thoughts on analog gold and silver?
I thought it's going to be a bullish year for gold, especially as Fed's going to continue to cut when Hassett gets in. That's bullish for the gold trade. I mean, and we've talked about it. Like, you saw a bit of a sell-off here in gold, but I think the path for gold's higher.
Daniel Lives, thank you very much for joining us live this afternoon.
Thanks, Frank, as always.
Thank you. Daniel Lives, Managing Director, Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities, headquartered right here in Southern California. Taking a closer look at some of the action today with bets on the Fed easing next week, ramping up sharply ahead of the Fed's 2-day meeting. The market's now pricing in an 87% probability of a rate cut on December 10th, a quarter-point cut's expected. And that probability has increased significantly from what we saw, just a couple of weeks ago, according to the CME FedWatch tool. Intel stock moving higher today at a 52-week high. And rumors here swirling the company could begin supplying chips to Apple in as little as 2 years. Apple closing at an all-time high today. Let's take a closer look at that one here, up $3.09 to $286.19. Intel stock, let's bring up the quote on that one here. Intel shares moving higher today by $3.46 at $43.47. Strategy shares rebounding today as the price of Bitcoin managed to close back above, moved back above 91,000, right now just below 92,000. Shares of that company, of course, focused on digital asset treasuries, have been under pressure recently as Bitcoin pulled back about 30% from its all-time high, which was above 126,000 in October. Got as low as 80,000 in the last couple of weeks. Right now, we're looking at Bitcoin at around 91,800 or so. Ethereum, by the way, is back above 3,000 here at 3,014. Doge at the moment at 14 cents. Taking a look at some of the crypto-related names, IBIT up more than 3 today at 51.67, and BITO, another ETF, up 83 cents at 13.46. Taking a look at the precious metals, and we'll be talking more about the metals coming up here later this hour with Barry Stuppler with Mint State Gold and Stuppler and Company. Gold today, right now, up around $19 at $4,240 and change. Silver up 37 cents at $59.08. That's been the star of the last week or so, hitting all-time highs. And platinum has had a pretty big run-up this year as well, at more than $7 now at $1,657.30 an ounce. Crude oil futures still under pressure despite geopolitical tensions. We see oil right now hovering just below $59 a barrel at $58.71. Beyond Meat down about 4% today after a 36% spike yesterday, with no clear news attributed to those outside moves. American Bitcoin, that's the Bitcoin mining company backed by the president's sons, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., seeing its shares plunge about 37%. The stock was halted several times for trading as digital assets sold off. Bitcoin, though, did rebound from Monday's lows, as I mentioned. Signs of potential trouble, meanwhile, popping up again in the form of tighter conditions in short-term funding markets, according to MarketWatch. These act as the indoor plumbing of the financial system, and they might require the Fed to take action relatively soon. This is something that might come up during the Fed chairman's news conference next week after they make the announcement, state of the economy, as well as a decision on interest rates. And it's widely expected now the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates. Benchmark short-term benchmark Fed funds rate will be cut by a 0.25 percentage point. That's the widely expected expectation next week. But the Fed chairman might also be asked to comment on this. Two measures of funding market liquidity, known as the Secured Overnight Financing Rule and the Tri-Party General Collateral Rate, have both been moving above 4% over the past week. As Fed watchers note, both rates are derived from the U.S. overnight repo market, which acts as a source of short-term funding for a wide range of financial institutions. The Fed monitors pressures in the overnight repo market because of the potential for this to cause wider volatility. We're keeping an eye on that, too. Dell Computer stock moving higher today at nearly $4 at $135 and change. The Czech billionaire Michael Dell and his wife Susan announced a pledge today to put $6.25 billion into the tax-advantaged accounts for children, known as Trump accounts, that were established as part of the massive tax bill that passed this summer, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Major stock market averages rebounding today. Once again, the Dow closing up 185 points to 47,474. The S&P 500 up 17 at 6,829. And the NASDAQ gained 138 points at 23,014. The yield in the 10-year note at 4.09%. Trading volume, by the way, relatively light, with 51 million shares of the largest S&P exchange-traded fund, SPY, trading hands on the New York Stock Exchange. Of course, a lot of people just getting back from the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. They're calling this a Travel Tuesday as people hit the airports to wrap up their extended Thanksgiving holiday weekends. Take a closer look at the market action. We'll talk more about what's happening in the precious metals markets, as well as Giving Tuesday when we speak live to the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission coming up here live later this hour. That and more straight ahead on 790 KABC. Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Good afternoon. Ray of sunshine on Wall Street today following yesterday's washout. The Dow coming in for a closing gain of 185 points following yesterday's plunge of more than 400. We're back to 47,474. The S&P 500 up 17 at 68.29, and the NASDAQ up 138 at 23,000. 4.14. The yield in the 10-year note now at 4.09%. The price of gold in the spotlight moving higher right now at $4,240.30 an ounce. Silver up 37 cents at $59.08. Yep, you heard me. Silver flirting with $60 an ounce. Platinum more than 7 today at $1,657 and change. Bitcoin been all over the place last week or so, including today. Rebounding right now close to 92,000. Ethereum just above 3,000. Doge at the moment at 14 cents. In the business of show business, Warner Brothers Discovery, NBC Universal parent Comcast, Netflix, and Paramount, Skydance all submitted second offers for Warner Brothers assets. According to the Wall Street Journal today, Warner Brothers stock gained today by about 3%. Paramount Skydance shares up 11 cents at $15.82. CrowdStrike Holdings, the cybersecurity company stock, down today. The CrowdStrike company posted a loss but reported higher sales and narrowed its revenue outlook. CrowdStrike shares closed at more than $12 at $5.16 and change. Marvell Technologies, the semiconductor company, agreed to acquire Celestial AI, moved to a profit in the third quarter. That stock gained about 13% in after-hours trading. Alphabet, parent company of Google, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says his company was declaring a code red effort to improve the quality of ChatGPT. According to the Wall Street Journal, Google's updated Gemini AI model has leapfrogged rivals, including OpenAI, and industry benchmark tests. Dan Ives mentioned it earlier, MongoDB, the ticker symbol on that one, MDB, the database company hiked its annual guidance as booming AI demand bolsters revenue. That stock, as he mentioned, was up more than 20% today. Scholastic, the publisher, agreed to sell its New York headquarters. Company working to streamline its business, according to the Wall Street Journal, and also monetize its asset. Empire State Realty Trust will pay $386 million for the Broadway address. Scholastic shares moved up about 1%. Ford Motor Car Company's EV sales continue to drop in the month of November. This is something we talked about yesterday with our top go-to car expert, Lauren Fix. Following the end of the federal tax credit, Ford EV sales continue to shrink, and sales were down the stock was down 1.5%. Estee Lauder, the beauty company, says its restructuring has cost $1.14 billion as Estee Lauder streamlines its operations and cuts its headcount. That stock moved higher by more than 5%. Shares of Dell Computer, moving higher today by nearly $4 at $135 and change. The tech billionaire and his wife, Michael Dell, announced a pledge to put $6.25 billion into tax-advantaged accounts for American children, known as Trump accounts, that were established as part of the big, beautiful bill that passed this summer. Taking a look at Apple, if you didn't hear it, hit a record high today, closing at more than $3 at $286 and change. Tesla going into reverse, down 90 cents at $429.24. Shares of Strategy moved up today by nearly $10 at $181.33. Circle shares moved up $1.50 at $77.44. Taking a look at BITO, one of the crypto ETFs, up 83 cents at $13.46, and IBIT moved up $3.17 at $51.67. Shares of Intel moving higher today by more than $3 at $43.47, and also helping to give the Dow a lift today, shares of Boeing taking off of nearly $19 at $205 and change. Once again, the precious metals in focus. We'll talk more about that coming up here shortly with Barry Stuppler with Mint State Gold and Stuppler & Company based in Woodland Hills. Gold right now hovering above $4,200 an ounce. Silver just shy of $60 an ounce, and platinum at $1,657 an ounce. And now the latest news on 790 KABC.
Hey, y'all, it's Lainey Wilson. St. Jude gives kids with cancer the chance they deserve. Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food. But we can't help these kids without you.
This holiday, help St. Jude find more cures for more children. Donate now at musicgives.org.
Get ready for The Rush with Max Crosby.
You already know what time it is.
All-pro defensive end Max Crosby takes you beyond the field with exclusive insights, real stories from inside the locker room.
You could literally see us like laughing, kind of chirping back and forth.
This is The Rush. Buckle up.
We talk about the rush on the rush all the time.
Don't miss the behind-the-scenes moments and interviews everyone's talking about.
We appreciate you guys. We're going to keep feeding you all the content.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Here we go.
Mottek On Money continues here, 790 KABC. Silver and gold, not just a Burl Ives song. People are talking about it big time this holiday season as both gold and silver recently hit all-time highs, with silver taking the spotlight in the last week or so. Joining us live now is Barry Stuppler, founder and president of Mint State Gold and Stuppler and Company, based in Woodland Hills, also former president of the American Numismatic Association. He's a rare coin expert. Barry Stuppler, thank you very much for coming to the line here this afternoon.
It's an exciting time in the rare coin and precious metal. I mean, we had gold was the star for the first 10 months. It went from 2,600 to over 4,000. And then over the last month or two, silver's taken the spotlight. I mean, silver started the year around $29, and in May it was 32, and now it's 58.60. That's an all-time high, and up 83% in just 6 months, and up over 100% for 2025. That knocks the hell out of any other investment, let me tell you. It was interesting to watch what's happened in silver and to kind of recap what's happened over the year. The year started with a bunch of silver coming into the country because people were concerned about a possible Trump tariff, because the Washington officially labeled silver as a critical metal, not a monetary metal. So a lot of silver came into the country in early January through May. And in May, silver got to about where it was around $33, and the gold to silver ratio reached over 100 to 1. That's an historic high. And then we saw strong, very strong buying out of India. And we were trying to figure out why that was happening. A lot of people in India were all of a sudden grabbing onto silver investing because obviously gold at 100 to 1, silver looked very attractive. But then we found out that a number of people were considering their holdings, and the Indian government allowed banks to start loaning on silver in April, so people can borrow against their silver holding, and they're estimating that 10,000 to 15,000 tons of silver sit in the homes and temples in India, and that could be hundreds of billions of rupees and dollars. So that buying is what pretty much took the market up to roughly about $50, and at $50 it took a pause. And at the same time, we were seeing very low stockpiles in many of the depositories around the world, and that was leading to backwardation in some cases and leading to a silver squeeze. So this is what's been causing silver to rally so much right now, and we're definitely on our way to $60 by the end of the year, if not higher. So it's just an interesting time right now to watch the silver market.
See it tonight, read about it tomorrow, but hear it now on Mottek On Money on 790 KABC, on the air live with Barry Stuppler and Stuppler and Company and Mint State Gold. And so, Barry, a lot of predictions have gone by the wayside this year because of the meteoric rise in both gold and silver. So you're predicting silver at 60, and we're just below that here at the moment. And it was, of course, a very big deal when silver blew past 50, which was the record high that stood, going back to 1980 or so. So that record has been broken. What are your predictions here on where the precious metals go from here, gold, silver, and let's throw platinum into the mix as well?
Well, gold is looking pretty attractive. It's holding right around the 4,200 level. I see this setting a new record high, probably somewhere in the 4,400 to 4,500 range, probably by the end of the month, because a lot of buying, particularly historically, there's a lot of December has been a really bullish month for gold. So I see that probably 44 to 45 by the end of the year, and at least 5,000 by the summer. The buying is still considerably higher than before. Central banks are buying record amounts of gold. China, which is the leading world consumer and producer of gold, is just showing its demand in unprecedented levels. So you have to understand, many Chinese people who are workers in China, about a third of those people, every paycheck, get a certain amount of money taken out of their paycheck to buy gold. So there's a massive amount of demand every month. So that demand is not going to reduce, and at the same time, we're seeing the central bank stepping up and buying record amounts of gold, as well as other central banks. So I see gold easily 5,000 by the summer, and probably higher, obviously, later in the year. Now, platinum. Now let's take silver first. Silver will probably be around 60 by the end of this year, based upon what we're seeing, and maybe 70 to 75 by the summer. And year end, a lot of it has to do with increased production. However, silver is a byproduct of copper mining. So if copper mining starts picking up and there's more silver thrown into the warehouses, that could diminish the rally. But I still see silver at least at 70, 75 next year. Now, platinum's the big question mark. Right now, you're looking at around 1620, 1630 platinum. It doesn't have the same dynamics as silver and gold do, because they're considered monetary metals worldwide, where platinum is more of a strategic metal and a critical metal, like palladium and rhodium and all the other metals. But there's demand, and the higher gold and silver goes, you pretty much are sure that platinum will get there. When gold's at 5,000, platinum will probably be over 2,000, because there's a lot of people that like to diversify. I have clients who have platinum coins, gold coins, silver coins, have all types and like to be diversified in the various metals. And they've done very well this year. Obviously, silver over 100%, gold over 60%, and platinum over 80%. That does better than the other investment I know. So it's doing really well, and our clients are really happy. We update everybody on our weekly market report every Monday on our website, Mint State Gold. So if you want to get an update of what's going on, just go to Mint State Gold, hit Investor Education, and read the weekly market report. It's totally free. There's no charge. You don't have to worry about your getting a cookie or something like that. We don't do that.
On the live with Barry Stuppler. Since you're on the front line of all this, Barry Stuppler, are people buying or selling?
Oh, up until, I'd see when gold broke 3,000, we saw a lot of selling. Then when it got to 4,000, the selling kind of diminished. And now we're seeing a lot more buying, particularly a lot of the rare coins, the coins that are what we call bullion plus coins, that are based on the bullion but have a small premium. They have come down in premium, so we're seeing a lot of that. $20 gold pieces that are dated 1932 and before, silver dollars, 1921 or 1935 and earlier. All those are starting to get a lot more attention, because with the silver and gold price that we're at, they look extremely attractive, and the risk reward looks unbelievable.
All right, looks like next week the Fed is expected to cut short-term rates. That's another factor in precious metals rise, silver prices especially. That's been attributed to expectations that the Fed will cut rates further next week. And also, as you mentioned, concerns about global supply. I think you touched on this too. Silver prices, according to the Wall Street Journal, supported by concerns that the U.S. might include the metal in future tariff policies after adding it to the Geological Survey's list of critical minerals last month, fueling significant inflows into the U.S. market. Of course, we've seen a lot of geopolitical concerns flare up throughout the year, and that also seems to be putting upward pressure on precious metals. Anything else that's catching your attention?
Yeah, well, you hit some of the key points. Obviously, a lower Fed funds rate will obviously be more bullish for gold and silver. Also, there's a bill in Congress right now to do a complete audit of the U.S. gold holdings. That can only be bullish. If all the gold is there, then it's fine. But if some of the gold is missing or whatever, there's been talks about that for over 50 years in terms of some gold being taken out of Fort Knox or the Federal Reserve and returned or whatever. So there's been rumors. So having a complete audit can only be bullish for gold. If it's unchanged, it's not going to hurt gold. But if the gold holdings of the United States is lower than what's anticipated, it's going to be extremely bullish for gold.
All right. I think you told us last time you were friends with the new head of the U.S. Mint. Anything that's catching your attention as far as offerings at the Mint these days?
some of the items that are coming up next year are going to be incredible. Paul Hollis is a true numismatist, and he's going to hopefully be confirmed this week or next week, and he'll take office sometime in January. I'll go back to Washington and meet with him for a while, but he's got ideas about many of the historic, beautiful early coins that were made in the 1790s to reproduce them for 2026 for the let me say this correctly, sesquicentennial of the United States, the 250th anniversary. So he's got some great ideas. So I'm looking forward to meeting with him, hopefully after he's installed sometime in January in Washington, D.C.
Fantastic. We got some months to practice that word as we approach that important date. Barry, thank you very, very much for taking the call on this big story in the financial world, with gold and silver hitting record highs this year and having a renewed rally in the last couple of days here. Platinum also on the rise. Barry, thank you very much for joining us live here this afternoon.
My pleasure, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That is Barry Stuppler, founder and president of Stuppler & Company and Mint State Gold, based in Woodland Hills, also former president of the American Numismatic Association. Live with us here on Mottek On Money on 790 KABC.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Strahan, and St. Jude has been close to my heart for many years. Their groundbreaking research is changing how the world treats childhood cancer, and has helped push the survival rate in the U.S. from 20% to more than 80%. Please help St. Jude give children the greatest gift, a chance at a lifetime.
This holiday, help St. Jude find more cures for more children. Donate now at musicgives.org.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
A chance to show people a little bit behind the curtain. Kling, what are we in for?
Such a fun time, so much energy, and you get to actually see people react to the storytelling.
We covered a wide range of topics.
The whole reason we started was we loved playing when we were kids.
I mean, I still got that spark in me.
There you go. But I don't know how you can leave not being a bigger fan.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Today is Giving Tuesday, coming off the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and the start of the holiday season. We've had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and today is Giving Tuesday, a day encouraging and indeed celebrating generously during the season of giving. A very important day for nonprofit organizations here in Southern California relying on your generosity. Among them, the Union Rescue Mission, the #1 organization helping the homeless here in Los Angeles with the highest possible rating from Charity Navigator. Union Rescue Mission is saving and transforming lives, and Union Rescue Mission aiming to raise lots of money today to help the more than 72,000 homeless men, women, and children, as well as seniors on the streets of Los Angeles. And joining me live now is Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission and host of the Way Home radio show and podcast, heard Thursday nights at 6 p.m. right here on 790 KABC. Mark Hood, thank you very much for coming to the line here this afternoon.
Well, Frank, thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Wonderful to speak with you. And tell us about this important day here, Giving Tuesday, and what it means for the Union Rescue Mission.
Well, this is a big day for us. December is typically our biggest giving month of the year. And so a successful December is critical to the success of the mission. And for Giving Tuesday, to get off to a big start in December, we have a goal of $72,000 for a one-day fundraising. And $72,000 reflects the 72,000 people that are homeless on the streets. And so to honor them, to give that money for us on Giving Tuesday is a worthy goal for us to have. And, Frank, you mentioned the fact that we're the highest possible rating on Charity Navigator. We're one of the few nonprofit organizations that spend money so efficiently. 87 cents of every dollar goes back to the people we serve. And in December, we've been blessed with a $700,000 challenge grant. So up to $700,000, every dollar that is donated right now is doubled. And so that's really big for us as well. And hopefully that inspires some folks that, now's the time to give. And we really, we need your support more than ever as the weather's changing and it's getting colder and wetter outside. We've got more and more people walking through the doors. And so help now is important.
On there live with Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission, with an important message on this Giving Tuesday about supporting the Union Rescue Mission. Of course, we just had the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. I know you had some wonderful events related to Thanksgiving. And and the holidays coming up, and a time of generosity and giving. And it's still heartbreaking to drive through the streets of Skid Row and see children out there. And I know you're going to try to help the women and children, especially out there, to bring them in. Tell us about the effort to help the children, especially at this time of the year.
Well, it just breaks anybody's heart to see a child homeless on the streets. And we are certainly a mission that never says no to a mother with children or a family with children. We want them off the streets, and we try to be so much more than a shelter. For their time with us, we want to be their home until we find their permanent way home. And so during the holiday season, we try to make sure we're giving them dignity, and we're giving them memories. For this period in time for those children. I mean, when people think about it, the statistics around young people that experience homelessness are not great. They're in and out of school systems. They change schools. They feel neglected, and Union Rescue Mission strives to solve that. We want them to feel like they're in a community, that their mom and dad are in a community. We had a great Thanksgiving celebration with all of our guests and all of the folks on Skid Row that wanted to come in. That the volunteers that came in were just blown away because they're like, wow, this is such a beautiful thing, beautiful memory that you're giving these people. And it's really a partnership. Union Rescue Mission is creating those memories, but it's wonderful donors out there that help us create those moments. And we do the same thing at Christmas time. I mean, on the 9th, I'll be working late that night because we have a big pajama party, and the kids will all be dressed in pajamas, and we'll sit in the big conference room upstairs, and I'll read them Christmas stories. We have our Christmas store coming up on the 13th where mom and dad get to shop for their kids. So instead of Union Rescue Mission giving the children gifts at Christmas time, mom and dad are giving them presents at Christmas time. And all of those things, on top of the food and shelter we provide, on top of the casework, and on top of the trades programs and helping people find their home and helping people find an income, those precious memories and giving people community and showing them what life should look like, our donors out there are the ones that are helping to make that happen. And so I'm just asking you, this time of year, open up your hearts and give so that we can help, one child, one family, one mom, one dad, not only have a holiday season that is a memory instead of a regret, but also that we can help those families find a way home.
On the Air Live with Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission. Go to urm.org to support the Union Rescue Mission right now on this Giving Tuesday. And I believe Richard Newcomb, Vice President at URM, was on Spectrum News this morning and noted that due to changes in the tax law, it makes sense to make a donation before the end of this year, before the start of the new year for tax reasons. That's another factor to motivate people to make a donation here today.
It absolutely is. Under the current administration, the tax breaks are much more favorable than they have been in the past. So it makes your giving easier and more meaningful for you come tax time. And so it is it's a great time because there has been a tax burden where it wasn't as advantageous as it is right now. So right now is definitely a premium time to give, not only because you're giving to a worthy cause and you're giving to make a real and lasting change in people's lives and put a smile on a child's face, but it also financially just makes more sense than it has in the past because of the new tax situation.
And certainly it's an honor to do the Way Home radio show and podcast with you here on 790 KABC. We've been speaking to many business leaders throughout the past year, and it's very, very encouraging to see the recognition URM is getting for its outstanding work and the highest possible rating from Charity Navigator. And indeed, Richard Newcomb was honored as the top of fundraising philanthropist here, was on the front page of some of the newspapers here. So we congratulate Richard Newcomb on that important achievement. But what is your message to the business community here and the business groups listening and to better support you in downtown Los Angeles and at all the URM facilities?
Well, I came from the business world. I was with a great aerospace company for 40 years. And that company prided itself in having community outreach and doing things in the community that they were serving. And I think that all businesses have, or most businesses have that vision for their organization, but sometimes they don't know where to get plugged in. And what I would tell you as a business in Los Angeles County, there's not a better opportunity for your organization than to partner with Union Rescue Mission. Not only are we worthy of your donations, again, 87 cents of every single dollar going back to the people we help, but we're a solution. We put over 1,000 families in homes last year. We're entering jobs and training programs now. People can come through here and learn to weld, learn carpentry. But on top of just the work we do, the impact you'll see from your team by partnering with us, coming in and volunteering, tutoring the young people, helping to serve a meal, playing bingo with our seniors. Every time I did that with the organization that I retired from, it built my team at a new level. We saw people get involved. They became better employees. They felt like they were part of an organization that truly cared in the community and was giving back. And it changes your culture in a beautiful way because people want to be associated with thinking they're making a difference. And when they see their organization investing in that, it makes such a difference. So it's a win-win for businesses. I would highly recommend it. It was always very successful for us.
Well, I'm with you all the way. Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission, thank you very much for delivering that powerful message here. Go to urm.org to support Union Rescue Mission on this Giving Tuesday. Stay tuned now for the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang, and I'll be back with more at 4 tomorrow afternoon right here on Mottek On Money.
Hi, I'm Drew Barrymore, and I want to tell you how you can help to support the life-saving work of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. When you give, you're helping ensure families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live. This holiday, help St. Jude give children the greatest gift, a chance at a lifetime.
This holiday, help St. Jude find more cures for more children. Donate now at musicgives.org.